me?
Now it is. I'm sorry about that, guys.
All right, no problem. We got the volume on. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. South Jersey Football Frenzy show at a different time than usual, right? We're going on Tuesday nights here at 7 to accommodate for the Phillies. We have an intro. We have a lot to cover, man.
Let's give a shout out to Colin again. If you can.
Give a shout out to Colin Conway, who sent the clips over for that intro video. Excellent job, Colin. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Rob, for putting that together and opening up the studio on a Tuesday night. Thank you, Mac, for putting on a
Philly shirt, looking swag.
Yeah, it's a nice shirt.
Thank you. Thanks, Trip. Appreciate it.
It looks like a fine piece of china.
Oh,
blue and white.
The closer you get, it has the little pattern in it. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, but a little bit.
But it's got the red P. It's all that matters.
That's all that matters, and hopefully
1-1.
Game 3 is better than Game 2 for the Phillies.
1-1. That's all you need to know.
That's right.
If I asked you last week, what do you want to be? 1-1, right?
That's right.
2-0 ideal, but 1-1. We're good.
Got the split. Let's give a shout out first to our presenting sponsor, the West Jersey Football Coaches Association, established to promote, improve, and unite football in South Jersey. In less than 3 years, the association created the Battle at the Beach and has also dedicated itself to helping others. The association has donated more than $50,000 to date to provide scholarships through the National Football Foundation and the Touchdown Club of Southern New Jersey. The group has also donated to the charity Philly Faces, which helps those in need of facial reconstruction surgery. Thank you to the West Jersey Football Coaches Association for your sponsorship of the show. We also want to shout out Dave O'Sullivan, South Jersey Glory Days, sjglorydays.com. And if you're watching on Facebook, you're on his Facebook page here. A lot of good stuff for local student, scholar athletes, and all the teams, all the coverage. Saw Sully at our game of the week last week, and boy, Mac, was it a good one. I think something in my bloodstream was telling me to get out to Washington Township, and it wasn't just the fact that they have some of the best concession stand pizza known to man. I get out there, Mac. First off, I knew it was going to be a surreal night because
hold on. There's 5 good pizza places within 20 minutes of that stadium, so
yeah.
You know what I mean?
They can walk it over
right.
to the concession
exactly.
stand.
They can pick a different one, but I digress.
I knew it was going to be an interesting night when I get to the game and I have to park way in front of the school. Anybody who's been to Washington Township, you know how big the parking lot is. I'm parking way in front of the school, and I'm walking to the field, and there's like thousands of people walking out of the stadium. This is never a good sign.
They're leaving.
They're leaving. I thought, man, do I have the wrong time? I don't even want to look at Twitter and see the game got postponed or canceled or whatever. They had all these homecoming events. The Spirit Parade is at the
wow. Yeah.
So all these kids left, and still there were a ton of people there right from the jump. And we get there at 6 o'clock, and there was a feeling that something special was in the air, and boy, was there.
You're rolling some dice when you pick that game to do some special stuff because, wins, sometimes there's games you pick some of the check marks, but.
Well, you go back through and look, we've been to some duds for Game of the Week. I mean, they end up being not what we thought, but this one was what we thought, and then so much more. Washington Township wins 27-25. Really, this game had a little bit of everything, Mac, but you break it down into 3 chapters. The first chapter is most of the first half. Washington Township running it with Jared Dziergowski as the running back, just pushing forward, moving the clock, moving the chains, scoring. They're up 14-0 late in the second quarter, and they had the game firmly in the palm of their hands.
Dominating, time possession, right? Just go up, right? Going up a couple scores.
Just Mac, a game you would have, as the way you coached, you would have loved it. I mean, it was just execution, straightforward, 3 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards. Not a cloud of dust. It was on turf, but a cloud of rubber. And the next thing you know, you're like, man, Township has just dominated the game. They're getting off 3 and outs, 3 and outs, 3 and outs, executing at a high level, really playing efficient football. The game then changed in the final minute of the first half when Winslow, on 4th and 6, decides to insert freshman quarterback Jalen Parker into the game for his first snap, and he throws a touchdown a beautiful pass right over the seam. Didn't even warm up, comes in cold, boom, touchdown. And you think, wow.
Now it's the game.
That looked pretty good.
Yeah, if you're Winslow, you go in, you're thinking, wow, we haven't been playing all that well, obviously. We've been getting, dare I say, dominated. And it's 14-0.
14-6,
Yep.
I think it was.
Yep.
So the second half pretty much plays out the same way in that Parker continues, and he leads Winslow down the field. He throws 2 touchdowns. He converts some key conversions on a drive that gives them the lead at 25-21 in the fourth quarter. Cam Brown ended up running in the score, but there was a nice shifty play made on fourth down and long to Hornsby on the sideline. Hornsby played well in this game as well. I thought Nakeem Powell played excellent for Winslow. Nakeem Powell had 2 incredible plays that were catching low punt snaps, and one of them happens to happen in the fourth quarter. And so things go on here, and I think it might have actually been the third quarter, but it was key back in his own end. Nakeem Powell punts Washington Township to their 1-yard line with slightly less than 2 minutes left, and they're winning 25-21, Winslow Township is. Now, the possession before had an opportunity maybe to run the ball, run some more clock, or that gambit of do you try to throw for that first? Do you just keep running? What are you going to do? Throw incomplete? Not good. Washington Township gets it back. But they got to march 99 yards. I mean, they got a sophomore quarterback in Cole Aquino back there. And they were not efficient throwing the ball most of the game. They got to march. And that's what they did. They get a PI coming out of the end zone, 15 yards. Put together some plays, some passes, some scrambles.
Finding a way.
Finding a way. And then at 4th and 10, I believe it was, an incompletion. It seems like the dream is dead, but it also seemed like Cole Aquino was dead. I mean, he's laying flat on the ground, and there's a yellow flag next to him. And you can say, well, I have a feeling I know what this is.
Roughing.
Roughing the passer, new set of downs. Here comes Township. Aquino takes a sack with, they took a snap with 15 seconds left. He takes a sack. There's 5 seconds left, called timeout. And at the 39, 40-yard line, whoever you ask will give you a different answer. But Washington Township has one more play, and Rod, I think we may be able to just show the viewers what happened.
I think the viewers might know already, but we'll show it again.
Show it again. It's worth it.
Again. Good vantage point, right?
Yeah. Sean Long on the spot.
You know, a couple times watching this.
Deshaun Long on the spot.
Yeah, a couple times watching it, you know, at first you always, you know, you hear knock the ball down. Winslow does attempt to knock it down. It doesn't seem like they're trying to catch it. There is no tipping, and it's just an unbelievable hustle play by Long.
Yeah.
Like just totally not giving up on a play, running down. You know who thinks who thinks they're going to get a 40-yard Hail Mary to win a football game, especially high school kids. It's always tough to keep them. Hey guys, we're always one play away from, you know, making something special happen. And, you know, we used to tell our kids, you never know time or place, right? You never know when that special thing's going to happen. And we've been waiting for this signature thing to happen for Township over the last, I think, year and a half, 2 years.
It's a valid point, Mac, and it's one that was not lost on Coach Schatzman. Earlier this year, they had an opportunity to make a real statement at home against Holy Spirit. They lost in a wild game, double overtime.
Right.
They lost the opener this year to Mainland, a very, very good team. They last year, if anybody remembers, there's one team that played Toms River North close, and it was Washington Township. And there was a fumble, scoop, and score that proved being the difference of the points in the fourth quarter there. So Township has had a number of times. They did have a win over Cherokee that was kind of a signature point, but they've also had the same ebbs and flows of a team that's been building a program, as Schatzman's done a great job. And you look at, there were times they beat Shawnee, but then they lost as a 1 seed to Lenape in the playoffs. Last year, they were up in the first half of Marlboro on the road in the playoffs. It looked like they had the game in hand. They suffer a malady of things in the second half, and they end up losing that game. So there's always been this thing
Sisyphean.
Yes, exactly. Push the rock up.
Can I use
Can
that?
it stay there and go down there? And for it to happen in this way, with a kid like Deshaun Long, and that type of game that really seemed to have the script. I mean, if you looked at what the storyline in this game was, there was no question to me, to Kevin Minnick and I were talking during the game, it seemed like the story was certainly that Jalen Parker had taken Winslow back from the catacombs.
Yes.
To where
Come
now
on
this
in.
freshman
Right.
brilliantly leads the comeback. And instead it's a Hail Mary that changes it in the final whistle. But incredible.
Testament to culture building, et cetera, because, yes, Jalen did bring Winslow all the way back. And typically in a high school game, when that happens, and I'm not saying all the time, but typically in a high school game, when that team goes up that 27-20 or 25-21, it's usually all over. We've all been in the stands, even when a high school team gets within a score when they've been down 21, down, and you're like, we've seen this avalanche is already happening. They can't stop it. And if you're at that game, you're probably thinking, to your point, Winslow's winning this game.
Yeah, it goes back a number of years to when we first, when you saw Washington Township beat Cherokee, Shawnee one of those times down at Tom Brown Field, and you said, they got the band going. They got the cannon firing. They got people in the seats. They've got it set up now to go back to where, and you could
Right.
see it then, as you kind of could spot the growth that was coming, and it certainly has.
It's a special place. Look, it's a special place to play. I'm sure having Coach Schatzman there is a huge, huge thing for that program. And in the beginning, it's tough. Kids don't want to hear, hey, this is how it used to be when Coach Brown was running the joint, right? This is how we used to do it. They don't want to hear that anymore. But guess what? They gotta hear it a little bit, because if you want to be in that history of the program and all the things the township does, you got to know a little bit about history. You got to walk through that hallway a little bit and stop and read some of those plaques about the Kerners and all the guys that went through that joint and won multiple championships in the 90s and early 2000s. And then, and now that you win these games, you win another one like this, you've been in dog fights. Hey, listen, they have a tough schedule. They might not be, not beating an Always Spirit team in double overtime is not a knock. Right. Or losing to a Mainland's not a knock. You're playing the toughest schedule in South Jersey, or one of them.
Yeah.
But now there's not a game you can't win. Right. You walk in a locker room, you walk into practice every day, you can win every game, every time you strap it on. You're not, now you're getting into this reign of now you might be the hunted.
Yeah, and it was a special game. I thought back, always trust your gut. That's kind of my advice for this game. Trust your gut. When you're sitting there and you're standing on the sideline, you think there's only 15 seconds left. Maybe I should walk to the end just in case they actually complete a Hail Mary. Trust that inner voice that does that. Sometimes it works out.
You don't have to video a sack.
No.
You can't miss the video of the Hail Mary.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not the first one I filmed, but it was one of the most impressive.
I like the
deflection over.
Rod, I like the post-catch celebration filming.
You got to keep going with that.
I mean,
for sure.
You have to let it roll. You can't cut it off.
Not only do you let it roll, I think our nimble young reporter is trailing and running behind him, because he's moving with the tide.
You're running. You're definitely running. I hope there's no videos of me running, but there is
Does
some
Minnick
of
have
that.
a video of him taking the video?
And he didn't have a gimbal, and he kept the camera still. It wasn't shaky. That was a good job.
He used his own. He used his own.
Probably the only finish I've seen better than that is I covered a game one time back in Virginia where there was a Hail Mary on the final play, but 2 plays before another team, a running team, had to go a long distance, a rivalry game. They ran a perfect hook and ladder down the sideline. The kid was going probably 70 yards for score. He cramped in both legs and bit it.
Oh.
And it was like the secret play that was perfect. Nope. And they end up catching the Hail Mary. They line up for the extra point, down by 1 point. They faked it. They ran a shovel pass to Wyatt Teller, who's now the left tackle for the Cleveland Browns. Came around, caught it, trucked into the end zone. They won. No time left on the clock.
Wow.
And also one of the first times officials admitted to me on record that they had messed up a call. The play was illegal. The holder put the ball down and picked it up.
Oh, with the knee down.
Yeah, put the knee down, and never should have counted. It counted in the book, but this one got me thinking, man. There's been a lot of crazy finishes over the years.
Yeah.
You go to enough games, you're bound to see something you've never seen before or something just like it.
Yes, it has. I'm interested to see what our viewers say is their best game that they've seen or their biggest comeback. This is probably one of the biggest in, South Jersey in a really long time.
Definitely the biggest this year. I mean, the way it was done. Unfortunately, Rod, we as coaches, I've been on both sides of things like that. Some good and some not so good. So
right.
they are very when they happen, they're nothing more euphoric. Is that
euphoric?
Yeah,
right.
there you go.
It's almost like you're dreaming, and
Yeah,
you can't.
it's not
you
right.
just,
Yeah.
You don't know what to say. You don't know how to react. You're just in disbelief when it happens.
Right. And as a coach, when the kids, it's like you feel the kids are in, like, to your point, they're like Christmas morning and all, right? Like, I can't believe that just went down. And hey, maybe what they say is if we keep working really hard and we keep playing really hard and we play to the very end and I do trail the play and the ball tips up, maybe something good happens.
Yeah.
So the one thing I know, Schatzman probably didn't have a tough time coaching plays this week. Coach. It's always good to come back and now you can say, hey, anything can happen. Got to keep playing.
Play to the whistle. And it doesn't matter if it's 1 second or no seconds. Even with the ball in the air, you still have to keep playing until the end. You can't slack. Everybody has to run to the ball and finish the play.
Keep going. You're either watching or you're playing.
Yep.
Don't be watching.
A lot of we put it in here. What are some of the best finishes you've seen? Camden Overbrook was a good comeback. One of these in the past Kenny has in here. Troy says Burlington City down 29-7 to Palmyra at halftime last year. They came back and won, Rod. You remember that one? That one was wild. Keep sending some through here. I'm sure it jogs some memories. Gloucester and Audubon. Scott Lynch goes, 71 yards with a minute left to win. Wilson, Cedar Creek, 22-point comeback, the controversial final play. Yeah. That was one of the best I've seen. And Bobby Isom, this is a good one. Coach Schatzman saw St. Augustine's last-second win over Shawnee the week before and said, hold my root beer. I'm going to say root beer. Hold my root beer. And you know what? Schatzman will see Shawnee this week.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Bam Goree, Wilson at Washington Township, Will Hickson.
Yeah, that was a good one. So it's some good ones coming in. You tend to forget how many times this does happen. Like
it happens.
It happens often. Yes, that Cedar Creek Eastside game, that was a tough one. The Camden and the Overbrook game, that was a really good one. Camden came back to win that one. That was 98. That was my senior year.
Right.
And yeah, Bam Goree over there with the big jerseys.
Right.
What I'll say is different about this one compared to some of the ones I think of, including that comeback, and one of the best comebacks I've seen, Camden Catholic beat Shawnee with like 22 points in the last 8 minutes. I mean, just like that.
It's crazy. Yep.
But those comeback wins, you can feel that shift and watch it snowball. Yeah. And you could just see the team on the underside of it just getting flattened. This was one of those where I just don't think anybody really thought Washington Township was going to go down and win the game, even right until that Long caught the pass. It wasn't. Right. There was no momentum shift. It was like, well, Winslow's got this in hand, and that's why it was so miraculous. Because you're like,
there's always there's always the comeback. There's the comeback win. Right. And then there's the comeback, get back win, right? It's a team that came all the way back, took the lead, and like in this case, and then the team that got stepped over got it back.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the one that's always kind of like doesn't happen too often.
Right.
Typically, it's like you see a team rolling, and you're like, oh, they're going to come back, and they did. And whether they're 20 down, 30, 25 down, whatever. But the comeback, then you're winning, or now you're losing, and then the get on top again. That's a little different atmosphere.
Fish, He comes back to one of our favorites, Salk and Hail Mary over Deptford. Sean Arline, 85. Is that what it was?
Yeah, but that wasn't a comeback, Fish. That was.
But great finish, though.
Great finish, and it would have ended in a tie. That back then they didn't play overtimes, and it was just a great finish of a game. That's the Sean Arline falling backwards into the end zone.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that game was one of an all-timers, man. That was my.
Couple other good ones recently. Williamstown Lenape a couple years ago when they were 1-2. That was excellent.
Yep.
Jacob Zamat was a part of this. Millville Hamilton last year. That was a crazy one.
He said, "Don't forget me."
Yeah. It was fourth and whatever. The inside screen to Brooks, who catches it, breaks a tackle, and gets down the sideline. A lot of good ones. So we got a lot to cover from last. Oh yeah, Pennsgrove Willingboro. Anwar. The first time they played up at MetLife when I think they scored 29 unanswered or something to be Willingboro.
You want me to keep Coach Folsom up all night?
Oh, Lord.
Coach, 1985, Camden Catholic, Bishop Eustace, we tied. We were up 28-14.
I've seen the footage. It's in black and white.
You have. Kept us both out of the playoffs,
Thanksgiving
Rod.
at Mac's house.
Rod, kept us both out of the playoffs. We're up 28-14. Vicarelli's playing quarterback for Catholic. They come back on us. 28-28. They scored 2 points at the end. So both teams didn't make the playoffs back then. We ended up 4-2-2 at the cut, and back then 4-2-2 didn't get in.
PowerPoints killed you.
Yeah. Well, no, that they just did points. Hey, just points down. We're not going to go in there. But hey, kids at home, 4-2-2 didn't get you in 1985. Just saying.
On the footage, like people were just like holding like those pennants on the sideline. Just like Eustace.
Everybody had a tweed hat on, Rod.
Yeah. They were all wearing one of these. I wouldn't have stood out at that game.
Right?
I would look just like everybody else at that game.
They had the fedora with the peacoats.
That's right.
He saw it on. We had the film, the 8mm transferred over to a stick. So he got to watch in black and white the Camden Catholic 1985 Bishop Eustace game.
And I'll never forget it.
Classic.
It actually was on TV too, actually. 28-28 tie.
Paul VI Seneca this year, another good one.
Sorry, Coach Folsom, I apologize.
I don't think Coach is watching, but I hope I'm wrong. Coach, I hope you're out there watching. I know he's in the film room right now. We got a lot to cover from last week. We got a lot of not of the week submissions. We're going to run through some of those too. We look forward to next week. Stay tuned right after this from a word from our sponsors.
Champion.
Enthusiastic about football? Become a part of the NJFOA South Football Officials Association and join us to officiate high school football. A diverse community of over 250 members oversees every high school football game in southern New Jersey. Our team upholds the highest standards of the game. We are advocates for sportsmanship, guardians of player safety, and champions of fair play. Are you ready to join us on the field? The 2024 cadet class kicks off on March 6th. Be sure to secure your spot now by registering on our website or scanning the QR code from this ad. But that's not all. You can score a touchdown with reimbursement. When you pass the class, the state of New Jersey will give you $300 back towards your initial cost. Ready to put on the stripes and join the team? Become a football official with the NJFOA South today.
Welcome back, folks, to the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show. We're going to take a look back at last week. Start off in our week in review on Thursday night as Burlington City beats Bordentown 41-7. Big one numbers-wise for the Blue Devils as Daimir Hill throws for 256 and 3 touchdowns. Malachi James, 13 carries, 102 yards, a touchdown. He caught 3 passes, 126 yards, 2 touchdowns. The fastest man in South Jersey. I'm pretty sure he's up there.
He definitely is. I was at that game, and he caught a quick screen. I say I'm roughly about the 3-4 yard line, and took it to the crib.
Yeah.
And as he was running past the officials, the official looked at me and said, "I've never seen anybody move that fast." He was rolling.
He can go.
Yes, flat out great player.
Big win for Burlington City. They moved to 5-2. I saw them earlier in the season against Glassboro. I think they've come a long way since then. Friday night, Willingboro 20, Pensacola 14. We mentioned this one in our preview segment last week. Lamar Best, 204 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Zahir Bryant, 4 catches, 141 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he caught an interception as well. Terrence Knighton with a touchdown catch as Willingboro moves to 5-2. Millville, number 1 team in South Jersey by our rankings, continues to roll. They beat Shawnee 38-14. Shawnee's now losers of 4 in a row. Jacob Zamat, 278 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. Latsier Brooks, 5 catches, 162 yards, and 2 touchdowns, further extending that Cape Atlantic League receiving touchdown record that he's got plenty of time to keep tacking on to that. Highland, 29, Eastern 7. How about Nehemiah Butler-Mayhew? He's had some pretty gaudy stats in a couple games this year. He did it again in this one for the Tartans. 235 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. Not too bad.
No, 7 yards a carry. Pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Mainland remains unbeaten, 44-0 over Absegami. Stephen Ordilly runs for 3 touchdowns. Kingsway 34, Clearview 16 in a rivalry clash there. Benny Lyles, 6 receptions, 148 yards and a touchdown. Collingswood 20, Audubon 7. With a pick 6, Shaq Carter set the single-season interceptions record at the school with 8. He also holds the most career receptions record at the school with 89. Kip Cooper Academy gets its first win in school history over Wildwood. Congratulations. I think it was 12-6. Congratulations, Coach James Tompkins.
Congrats, Coach.
Timber Creek, this was a good game. Went back and forth. They remain unbeaten. They beat Hamilton 21-14. Chase Conway runs for 2 touchdowns. Karan Brookins, 2 catches, 73 yards, and a touchdown. There were some shockwaves sent through South Jersey in a couple games on Friday night, and one of them I think might have happened up at Glassboro. Pennsgrove goes in there and wins 6-0. They've now won, I think, 3 of the last 4. Bryce Wright, 19 carries, 92 yards, and a touchdown. The defense came, brought their lunch pail for the Red Devils, who now find themselves in pretty decent sledding with the way Group 1 has shaken out. I can't say anybody would have envisioned it a few weeks ago, but a really big win for them on the road, and Glassboro had kind of mastered those close games. Remember, they lost 2 tight games. Then they won 1 at Woodbury in overtime. They got past Clayton in a 1-score game as well. Here, Pennsgrove keeps them off the scoreboard, Mac.
Yeah, I mean, it's both teams' defenses played well. Obviously, Pennsgrove got the 6, and but that was not. It was a little, maybe it's open, right? Group 1's.
It is.
It's wide open, which is cool.
Yeah, and I agree, Chris. It did sound like a classic South Jersey Group 1 game. Although they're usually Saturdays. At Glassboro, it's kind of weird. They're
usually
on
32-28, not 6-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, that score was a little weird.
Still classic.
Yeah.
Good game. Great defense.
Huge
obviously.
win for Grove.
Paul to 6, 5-1, haven't lost in South Jersey. They beat Northern Burlington 35-3. Give a little love to the Eagles. Matt Murad, 17 carries, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a receiving touchdown. Rod, you were there. What did you see from the Eagles, my man?
The Eagles have some players. I mean,
they do. Young guys too, right?
They're young. The quarterback, Mark, you're going to have to help me with his name.
Dom Santiago.
Santiago. He's really good. Great size, about 6'4", 6'5".
Yep.
Can spin it. The skill guys are a little young, but they look pretty good.
Big Dennis Scuderi knows he can win some football games, right? He's been a lot of places and won a lot of games.
Yeah.
Smart guy, understands, PVI getting back some Get back on top. I mean, you get that's a good school. They've had some years over the past, so they start getting some wins under their belt. Now they're 5-1.
I mean, some of the guys, Austin Bailey, he looked pretty impressive. Need to work on some things as far as focus, but he's going to be really good. He's young. Then they have Tyree Rome. I believe he's like a sophomore.
And they have a Klecko.
Right. And listen, they have some guys. I was kind of hesitant, but
they got to get a little more. I think a little more size,
a little more seasoning.
They need a little more size, a little more seasoning, and a little.
Well, as Coach Golden says on here, they only have 7 seniors. So I mean, these guys now.
That's what I was. I was alluding to. They got a lot of dudes. I mean, they're still playing for this year, obviously 5-1, but they got a lot of dudes. A lot of dudes coming back. Junior, remember last week I mentioned? I love having juniors and sophomores that are playing for you.
Yep.
Exciting time for Paul VI. Lower Cape May beats Pittman 46-22. Got to give a shout out here to Isaiah Carr-Wing for the Caper Tigers. 24 carries, 319 yards, 4 touchdowns. He added 2 sacks on defense. This guy, Carr-Wing, he barely broke a sweat, it looks like. Seneca, 28. Moorestown, 21. This division at the top, I mean, we said Paul VI won, stopping Seneca on a 2-point conversion. Paul VI beat Moorestown by 7. Moorestown plays Seneca 28-21 in double overtime. Zach Fearon, 31 carries, 212 yards, 4 touchdowns. And Jamar Warthen, game-winning interception for the Golden Eagles and Fish. Hey, man.
Great conference.
5-1.
Great conference there. And what's nice for all three of them, they're in different playoff brackets, right? You got parochial 4. You got group
4 and group 3.
Yeah. So they're all spread out, and they can beat each other up during the year, but then have their own success in playoffs. And having those games against each other is going to pay off. I love seeing 31 for 212, and I know Fish does as well. That's good stuff.
Yeah. You know who else would like that? Pete Lancetta, who became the all-time winningest coach in Hermit's football history as St. Augustine beats Williamstown 37-6. Julian Turney, 121 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns for the Hermits. Another classic Group 1 game, Woodstown-Woodbury, 27-21 in overtime. Woodstown gets this one. Bryce Belafonte, 30 carries, 203 yards, 2 touchdowns, the game-winning rushing touchdown. In overtime, this is one that we said maybe had lost a little bit of the gloss that we thought before the season. This was a shiny matchup. But you know what? It delivered, and I expect both of these teams to be there at the end in Group 1 in some way, shape, or form. These are not going to be early exiters.
No, it's going to be interesting how the Group 1, right? How Group 1 shakes out with the seedings. Now that we're getting closer to it. Who's on which side of the bracket? That's all.
Who's the favorite out of Group 1 is the question right now. So, it's a lot of uncertainty within that group. The last couple of years, we've had Woodbury kind of take control of that and sell them.
Yep.
And before that, it was, Willenboro and Pennsgrove. So, right now is the first time that we've seen a little bit up and down out of that group. Cherokee
beat Lenape 42-0. Murad Campfield, 25 carries, 189 yards, 3 touchdowns for the Chiefs, who continue to roll. They have a big one coming up. But, I will say, looking at these games each week, looking at some of the scores, looking at games, trying to pick game of the week, it is very clear we're on the second year of that 2-year cycle of the scheduling. Things are so volatile in high school football now. It almost, I know you have to do it in home games, away games, whatever, and that's why they do. I would imagine that's part of the reason they do the 2-year cycle.
Right.
But the second year, I mean, we're looking at this now, and you're thinking, this game, and this game would have been great games last year, and they probably were, but not this year. We've seen a lot of blowouts.
Well, yeah. You got,
a lot of big numbers. Here's one. Atlantic City 48, Bridgeton 6.
Well, let me go back to
Cherokee. 46, Maple Shade 0.
Cherokee's a really good football team. It's the first time.
Holy Spirit 32, Vineland 6.
Yeah, some.
Ocean City 42, St. Joe Hamilton 7.
Now you skipped over RV to beat Delran.
No. Some. I don't know if all these are division. I'm saying the ones I know are Gloucester 36, Deptford 0. Florence 45, Palmyra 8. Programs change so quickly now. I'm just saying. But here's some other scores for you as well.
Ocean City, when would you think that St. Joe Hamilton would be 0-7?
Well, exactly. But if you knew Coach Sacco wasn't going to be there this year, and if you scheduled every year, would you be putting them? Yeah, maybe you do have them against Thursday. I don't know, but would they be playing Winslow, St. Augustine, Holy Spirit? I don't know.
Well, the talk was with the ADs, they tried to get size, competitive games, and then a combination of size. Geography's kind of been thrown out the window.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's good. But I think what I'm saying is 2 years is a big difference.
Well, you can't make it a schedule every year. How are you gonna do that?
Why
Because you
not?
don't know who's what. Like,
Why can't you?
Well, you can, but here's the thing. And I know I talk about the South Jersey North all the time, that old conference. There was a time where Pennsauken dominated the conference. You had Pennsauken, you had Camden Wilson, and you had Bishop Eustace, Paul VI, Camden Catholic. And, they were, but there was we say before here, it was the Cherry Hill Mall games, right? Like, even though Pennsauken at the time was the team in that conference, there was no easy game because all those kids knew each other. So I remember when they were talking about changing conferences, I used to, when I was at Eustis, I used to say, I don't mind playing a program that's bigger on paper than us. I just would like if they're in our backyard. Do you know what I mean, Rod? Like, if I'm at Eustis and you're telling me I got to go play RV or something, which is not a known school to Eustis, the kids are like, well. But if you tell me we're playing Cherry East or Cherry West or, Pennsauken even, who was better, it's still like that backyard neighbor. Even though the neighbor's bigger, stronger, faster, they're still the backyard guy, and so you can kind of get the kids up for the backyard game. Mm-hmm. It's tough to get its program up sometimes for these. I mean, we've talked about these scheduling things, right? They're trying to get parity. They're trying to get things consistent. You want to change the schedules every year. How do the ADs know who graduated, who this? I mean, can you look down and say, hey, we lost our quarterback, so I don't think we should have the same schedules last year.
There's not a perfect science to it.
No, there's not.
But
once you break the geographic world, and you break, it used to be like geographic and then size.
Well,
once you break that, all bets are off.
I think some of the geographic stuff was broken because you're trying to find games not for the teams that are good, but the teams that maybe the losing team. It's hard. So they're trying to reach out to different areas to bring those teams in. When you have a team that hasn't won a game in a couple years, it's a better game. If I'm not trying to, throw any teams under the bus, but you take a team like Wildwood or Lindenwold, it's better to match them up because you may get a 14-0 game versus Wildwood traveling up to mainland getting beat by
100%.
You get what I'm saying?
No. The old Cape Atlantic, you don't need Millville going in and playing A, B, and C, and D in the Cape Atlantic, right?
Right.
St. Joe Hamilton used to be in the smaller, for years, they were on the smaller conference side of the Cape Atlantic, which was like, and I know Paul would ask for his crossovers to be Holy Spirit and, the big boys in the Cape Atlantic. So, because you want a tough. Nobody wants to beat a team by 40, 50 points.
Well, and to Coach Golden's point, you do line up and play who you're supposed to play.
Well,
but I mean, this is like Paul VI this week plays Collingswood. Why? I mean, Paul VI this year is really rolling, and last year too. You could see the foundation. Nothing against Collingswood, but should they be playing Paul VI? I don't know.
Well, it's in the backyard. Paul VI is right in Haddon Township. And 3 years ago, Paul VI was not doing what they're doing right now. So in the beginning of a 2-year cycle, you're playing.
So if it was a 1-year cycle, you think they'd be playing? No. You'd say, no, this one's not coming into this year. We'll switch it up. And the same way with Paul VI, they would say, well, we might want to play. Collins would say, what do you think? Should we swap opponents on something?
You can't have it both ways.
I'm just saying.
You can't say, well, Paul VI, you got to.
What I'm telling you is every week.
You got a quarterback now. Who do you want to play? No, it doesn't go like that.
All I'm saying is this, Matt, and anybody who knows it is the truth. You go through week to week this year and look at the games that have lined up. Last year, 2 years ago, it's hard to decide which game to go to on Friday night or Saturday. This year, you know what? It's kind of splitting hairs to find one to go to some of these weeks.
It's definitely a little harder this year. I kind of agree with both of you guys. I like the backyard brawls. I like those, but again, I think people. I like to watch competitive games as well. So I don't know. One year, are coaches going to be realistic and say, "Hey, we're not going to be good this year," or you would have to be extremely truthful when deciding.
Or
on
you
your
have a
schedule.
committee that kind of can suss out what things look like, and say, you know what, we're going to put together the same way they have a committee puts together a 2-year schedule. So, guys, we're going to meet after a year.
That's kind of hard because you'll still get some teams caught in a
There
mix,
will be.
You know, it'll still be some teams that may have been projected to be good going into the offseason, but injury here, transfer there. Next thing you know, they're not. It's tough.
I just think high school football is too volatile now that you're looking at to be locked into 2 years for a team. If they lose a coach, St. Joe Hamilton. When Camden Catholic lost their coach, they played the best division we had in West Jersey League for 2 years. They lost by 70 points every game. What good did that do anybody? None. Maybe it isn't changing the whole division. Maybe it's looking at exceptions year to year, saying this is a different circumstance.
Or for an 8-game schedule, you can have your competitive games in area, right? In your area, and then maybe you could.
Well, look, I mean,
I don't know.
There's something that can be. All I know is this. Like I said, I think that the level of competitive games or solid games is lesser this year than it has been in years past.
you got a lot more haves than have-nots. And you know what? And if we don't want to go down a transfer soapbox, but if they're going to let transfers continue to happen as they do, you're going to have more haves and more have-nots.
I like Kevin's idea. Rank the divisions and relegate teams. Do it. Relegation, promotion.
Soccer style.
I like what Will said as well. Is the crossover games. You have your divisional games, and then you have crossover games where you can go out and play.
Well, and Will would know
teams.
because you know what? Will's got one of the best teams in South Jersey, and every week they're playing teams that 2 or 3 years ago were pretty darn good teams. And right now, some of those teams are not. I mean, he's playing Paulsboro, West Stefford, right? I mean, those teams traditionally, that's buckle your chin strap. Other than Haddonfield and South Jersey this year, I'm sure Will would like to do a crossover and play somebody else. Do you?
I think they welcome.
They
all
were in the division
competition.
when they were in that division with Cedar Creek, Delsey, Eastside, Willingboro. That was great football week in week out.
The ADs do try to do that. I mean, they don't do it on a 1-year cycle, but they try to put each division only has 5 or 6 teams in it, so you have your 5 games, and then you have your crossovers where you're like, all right, we're going to get such and such to play. They don't have the top play the bottom in the crossover divisions. They have the top play the top.
Yeah.
Which is why the whole PowerPoint system. But yes, I agree with you. There's a lot more looking at scores going, huh? That's not a good game. That wasn't a good game. That should have been a good game, but it's not. So
yeah, I think flexing the crossovers would do a lot. I agree.
Oh, you want to in-season flex them?
No.
Oh, we doing
Year to year, you flex your crossovers.
Like the
that would be good.
Right?
It's an interesting debate, and I appreciate everybody weighing in. We've got a lot of interaction today, and that's great. Also, let me run through these scores real quick. I said this was going to make this a really quick segment. I was very wrong going off a tangent. I apologize. Cherry Hill West beats Triton 28-20. Rancocas Valley 41, Del Ram 14, Pleasantville 62, Clayton 0. New Egypt 12, Pemberton 7, West Deptford 22, Sterling 9, Pennsville beats Overbrook 42-18, Cumberland 26, Gateway 20, Shallot gets a forfeit from Bishop Eustace. Saturday, Delsey beats Cedar Creek 50-14, Dan Russo runs for 140 yards and 3 touchdowns, Wayne Adair 137 yards and 2 touchdowns, Zach Maxwell and Alex Grippo each ran for a touchdown as well for the Crusaders. Big game on Saturday at Farnham Park. Camden beats Haddonfield, hands them their first loss of the season, 20-7. Judah Anthony, 24 carries, 177 yards. Makai Brunson throws for touchdown, runs for one. Per Kevin Minnick, the Haddonfield offense was just held to 127 yards in this one. 7 sacks for Camden on the day. Wink James with 3 of them. A hat trick for Wink. Other games on Saturday. Eastside beats Burlington Township 12-0. Oakcrest 20, Egg Harbor Township 6. Assad Hunt with 3 interceptions for the Falcons.
Don't throw near him.
Don't throw near him. He's hunting for picks. Middle Township 56, Buna 0. Riverside 50, Gloucester Catholic 7. Haddon Heights 41, Camden Catholic 6. Paulsburg falls to 0-6. Salem beats them for their first win, 28-8. Cherry Hill East 34, Princeton 14, and Haddon Township 32, Holy Cross 12. Now, undefeated teams, we lost one last week. So in Group 1, we still have Shalleck and Florence. In Group 2, we still have Cinnaminson, but we lost Haddonfield. In Group 3, Timber Creek, and in Group 4, Mainland. That is, by my count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 undefeated teams left in South Jersey. It's time for our knots of the week, Rod. We got a lot, man. Let's throw them up there in no particular order, except I do like the last one the most. I will give you that. First off, here we go. Aiden Haddock at Cherry Hill East. Boom! That's a strip sack in the end zone. They get the recovery there from Jackson Bowman. Aiden Haddock had a knot of the week last week. He's got a neck roll too, and I like that. He looks like an old school linebacker. Here we go. Triton at Cherry Hill West. We got Leo Impagliazzo. I like that look at how he sticks with this. Doesn't just jump on. So, no, I'm taking that to the end zone, man. I'm getting a shot. He runs it in for a touchdown on that fumble recovery. That's a nice knot for the Mustangs. Who we got next? This is a great one, too. Burlington City. How about Malachi Sadler? Look at this attention to hand-eye coordination. I'll pluck that after the deflection. I'll run it in 40 yards for 6 as the Red Devils beat the Scotties. Who's next, Rod? Shaq Carter, the aforementioned Shaq Carter against Audubon for Collingswood. He sets the school record for picks in a season, or tied it. I don't remember which one. He's set a couple records there for calls. And look at the teamwork here. Get him in the end zone.
No push?
Tush push. He's in, baby, for the pick 6.
Gotta like the Collingswood old school H goalpost.
Yeah, gotta love that. Paul to 6. You talked about him, Rod. You mentioned him. Austin Bailey, 90 yards and change to the house. Woo! Mm-hmm. He had a lot of green in front of him when he got that, man. They blocked that thing up real nice.
That turf looks nice. I like it. The alternating colors looks good.
Yeah. Here we go. This is Ocean City. First, we're going to start with senior linebacker Nick Layton. Ball goes up. He says, I got it. I'm just going to keep going.
Who's it against?
This is against St. Joe Hamilton.
Oh.
So he runs it in. Okay, but this one really is my favorite. Look at our guy here. Let me get the name right. I got to make sure I get it right. Ryan Callahan, 62 yards. He rips it from the pile, rips it from him, says, making my house call, man. And I like the black pants for Ocean City, too. They look sharp.
Good. They said they had 2 knots against St. Joe Hamilton?
Yeah. Times have changed, Mac. For the first time, Mac is speechless.
I'm just.
He's speechless, but he said a lot.
Said a lot. He said a lot about the knots.
I love the knots. The knots are great. Love the knots.
We're going to come right back after this, guys.
You get 1 against you in a game, you're probably not winning. You get 2 against you, you're not winning.
You're definitely not winning. We're going to have. We're going to take a look at the week ahead right after this. So stay tuned to the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show.
Enthusiastic about football? Become a part of the NJFOA South Football Officials Association and join us to officiate high school football. A diverse community of over 250 members oversees every high school football game in southern New Jersey. Our team upholds the highest standards of the game. We are advocates for sportsmanship, guardians of player safety, and champions of fair play. Are you ready to join us on the field? The 2024 cadet class kicks off on March 6th. Be sure to secure your spot now by registering on our website or scanning the QR code from this ad. But that's not all. You could score a touchdown with reimbursement. When you pass the class, the state of New Jersey will give you $300 back towards your initial cost. Ready to put on the stripes and join the team? Become a football official with the NJFOA South today.
South Jersey, let me tell you about my friends over at SRA Home Products who sponsor the show. SRA has been building sunrooms, pergolas, and patio covers for over 25 years. They've built more than 9,000 projects in the Delaware Valley. And I've had the opportunity to be around owner Mike Fody. I have nothing but the best things to say about Mike and his crew. SRA is a gold accredited member of the Better Business Bureau under the elite provider status with Home Advisor, and they've racked up a number of Best of South Jersey awards in the past. They contribute to multiple sport associations and are huge supporters of Williamstown football. Find them online, srahomeproducts.com. Thank you, Mike and SRA, for your sponsorship. Let's run through some of the games to watch next week, Mac. If we go quick enough, we might just go straight into the game of the week preview. What do you think? Think that works? All right. Got some rivalry
It
games.
is a school night.
It is a school night, yeah. We need our rest. We're pitching on just 2 days rest tomorrow. Rivalry games this weekend. Friday night, Cedar Creek at Oakcrest. Creek looking to bounce back after that blowout to Delsey. Creek's never lost to Oakcrest. Oakcrest playing better. They have some tight losses this year. That could be a big one. Triton at Highland. This one, Black Horse Pike battle. Always a tight one. Used to be a Thanksgiving Day game. Thanksgiving Eve used to be Cherry Hill East at Cherry Hill West. That one is also at 6 p.m. The Cherry Bowl. Pennsville's come a long way this year. They put some things together. They're going to play at Pennsgrove. It says 6:30. I guess this is a night game. Is John getting the portable lights out? That's what it says here.
For the boot?
For the Norm Willie boot. If that's wrong, somebody correct me in the chat. And if you're listening on one of our audios,
Portal lights
go
are
look
tough.
it up.
Portal lights are tough.
Yeah. Billy Smith was out last week against Delsey. That was a tough draw for them in one of the biggest games of the year. And it appeared like Delsey didn't feel too bad for him.
No.
Delsey's really clicking. The time of year, man, somebody mentioned this to me, it starts to get cold, and that's when you know it's Delsey time.
Delsey's built for December.
Exactly.
Right? They're built to play playoff football in December. Defense, controlling the football, etc.
Some other big matchups this week.
Boring championships.
Yeah, right.
That's what they do. They just win boring championships.
Cherokee at Kingsway, 6 p.m. This was a sectional final matchup not too long ago. Kingsway's 5-2. Their 5 wins are against teams with 5 wins total. So the 2 games they've lost were against better foes in Delsey and
Cherokee, watching last week, Cherokee's winning the way they want to win.
Washington Township, both blowout losses, yeah.
Glatzy has them winning the way they want to win. And Bender can play some quarterback, too. Not only with the quarterback run, and you got Pagic at receiver, number 11, number 10, slipped my name. The other, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Osborne.
Yes, there you go. The 2 of those cats, so they got threats all over. And they can run the ball, Campfield.
But the defense is the hallmark of this team, right?
They got a very good defense. They get to the ball, but they got big offense and defensive line. Like I saw that. I was ground level, and they got some. They're thick.
They got some beef.
They're thick, and they like to get after it and run the football. And that's doing what Cherokee has been known to do throughout the years.
Well, how about? I know you don't like looking ahead, Mac, but next week.
I don't mind looking ahead. I don't coach anymore.
That's right. Chiefs, Thunderbolts, I believe.
Chiefs.
Talk about defense. Talk about a defensive game. Bring your hard hat to that one.
That's going to be a big game. Where is that being played?
Cherokee.
At Cherokee.
Is that in the bowl?
I think it's at the bowl. I believe so.
It's big. That's
a good one.
That's a goodie.
I'd
Got that one circled.
That one's minus 450 for game of the week action.
Might have to bring a hat. Bring a hat. And hopefully we're sporting this one.
On Hat Duel.
Yeah.
Cinnaminson hosts Seneca. Seneca, big win last week in overtime. Cinnaminson undefeated. 6 p.m. Washington Township at Shawnee. We talked about Township. Shawnee, again, we're just rerun last week's show, and the week before that, the week before that, the week before that. This was a 4-game stretch. They wanted to get a win. And now with Township doing what they're doing, it's a 5-game stretch of really good teams. Township, we'll see how they use last week, if they can springboard forward. They've had some success against Shawnee in the past. Shawnee, 4 in a row, losses.
Right. Is the Township win an emotional springboard, or is it a letdown week? And this is a tough, depending on which side of the, Schatz has to say, look, we got to back up last week's win with another win against Shawnee. Shawnee's, I don't want to use the word desperate, but after a month of that, you need to win a football game. There comes to a point where
you got to win.
You got to win. Like we know you've had a tough schedule, and they know they've had a tough schedule. But winning makes practice go better, makes the school day go better, makes all the things go better. So, and Gush knows that with staff. So I mean, where Township's got to be careful is going, hey, Shawnee's lost 4 in a row, and blah blah blah, and Shawnee's a good football team.
A lot of ramifications on that Millville-Cherokee game next week. Kevin says if Millville wins it, they win the division title outright. If Cherokee wins, there's at least a tie. There could be a 3-way tie. So for those who are keeping track in divisional championships, they are coming on the line here these last couple of weeks. Camden Eastside at St. Augustine, 6 p.m. Not your usual matchup. You're used to seeing these two play. But Prep rolled Williamstown last week. Eastside shut out Burlington Township 12-0. Another one where it's going to be probably a defensive battle. Neither team has really exploded offensively on a routine basis, and they both hold their foes to not a lot of points, Mac.
No. Augie's got a lot of size.
It's going to come to the trenches.
Yep. Comes to the dudes up front.
Woodstown at Haddonfield, 7 p.m. Wolverines got that big win against Woodbury last week. The Haddons are looking to bounce back from their only loss of the season to Camden. These are usually pretty good affairs when these two match up as well. Saturday, a couple rivalry games in Burlington County, or Burlington City, I guess. Palmyra at Burlington City. Blue Devils are rolling. This is a rivalry clash that goes back a long time. Not a lot of love between the red and the blue there. And not a lot of love between the red and the blue of Rancocas Valley and Northern Burlington either. They play at 2 p.m. on Saturday. Game of the week. First off, let's go ahead and show Tom Padgett. Let's give Tom Padgett a shout out. Coach Tom Padgett is Gridiron Scout, the premier position training academy and college recruiting platform for all middle school and high school prospects in the tri-state area. Sign up for off-season, winter, and spring indoor position trainings for youth, high school, and college prospects from January to June at Mavericks Training Facility in Morristown. Register for the Underclassmen College Showcase in May for high school prospects to be evaluated in front of over 50 colleges. Put yourself on the radar of college coaches and families. You can be educated as a whole on the college football recruiting process and timeline by partnering up with Jersey Gridiron Scouts today. Check out Tom's website, jerseygridironscout.com, for more information. Follow him on Instagram, Jersey Gridiron Scout, and on Twitter at Coach Padgett, P-A-J-I-C. He has some players to watch in our game of the week, which is going to be Hamilton at Delsey, 7 p.m. in Franklinville. He likes the rushing attack as a whole. These backs for Delsey, you got, here's who Tom says. Junior Dan Russo. Senior Wayne Adair. Junior Alex Grippo. Senior quarterback Zach Maxwell. They're 8th in South Jersey in points scored as a team with 213, 26 rushing touchdowns for the Crusaders. 1,687 rush yards, averaging 40 carries a game and 304 yards on the ground per game. 3 receiving TDs total. Russo, 764 and 13 touchdowns. Adair, 416 and 8 touchdowns. Maxwell, 375 and 4 touchdowns. And Grippo has 132 yards and a touchdown. There is no question, Hamilton's guy to watch is always Kenny Smith, the running back in the backfield. And also Andrew Wenner, 6'1", 220-pound senior linebacker, captain for the Blue Devils, physical player at Mike, has a nose for the ball, runs extremely well, identifies run schemes quickly, has a great football IQ, and is a downhill player, Tom says. Look for Andrew to show up in the box and help slow down the rushing attack of Delsey. You know what? This is a great graphic too, Rod. Thank you for this. There is no question when Hamilton plays Delsey, you're looking at a couple things here. Belly, trap, buck sweep, 2 hours.
2 hours? You might be home within the 2 hours. This game's going to be an hour and 50 minutes. Nah, I'm kidding. Hard-nosed football, fun, old school watching. The question is going to be, it seems to be Kenny Smith, we know is the marquee guy for Hamilton.
Yeah, sure.
Where Delsey tends to deal the cards out a little more evenly. And, I mean, they'll go to ride the hot hand when needed, but the type of the things that Delsey does offensively, Sal does have a deep bag. Not that Roos doesn't, but next thing you know, they're running inside midline option, and you're like, well, when did they put that in? And you're like, well, they put it in when the kids were 7. at Delsey Youth Football. I mean, that's we're gonna run midline. Let's go do it right now.
That's right.
And quarterback next thing you know has 100 yards. So a lot of different ways Delsey can get you. Hammy again. Kenny Smith's a special player. It's gonna be a fist fight.
It is. And, Hamilton's been an interesting case study this season, as they have been in years past. They always have a kind of an interesting rhythm to their year. This year, they lost that game to Cherokee, we know. Second half went out of control for them. That was kind of a blip on the radar. Highland and Eastern, they weren't playing their best ball, but they'd get wins there. They lose to Mainland by 7 at home. They beat RV by 15 at home. And they lose last week to Timber Creek late in the game. 21-14. Now they go to Delsey, and there's no secret what Delsey's going to do. You would look at these and say they probably play a 14 to 13 game, 17 to 14, one of these things. But I got to tell you, the last 2 times they met, Delsey won 28-3 and 31-7. The last couple times they played, Delsey has just rolled them. So we'll see. The winged helmets are going to be out for both sides. Blue and white, red and white. We'll see what happens. It's Delsey's time of year, as you said. But Hamilton, a win here would do wonders for them going in the Group 4 playoffs from a mentality standpoint of, hey, guys, look, we're going to play some good teams we can hang with, or we just beat a good team.
Right,
too.
and Delsey's had their number the last couple of years. I mean, and you got a Group 3 playing a Group 4, so a lot of points for Delsey. Win or lose, but win mega points. So, look, an all-around should be an all-around good football game. That's for sure.
What do you got, Rod? You're wearing blue.
Yeah, I am.
That was not planned.
Hamilton, from what I've seen of them, they just have to be able to stop the run. That's when they tend to get in trouble. And this is kind of one of those games where they're going to run. Mm-hmm. So can they fix that within a week? You look at both games that they have lost. Timber Creek running the ball, and then I believe it was Mainland, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just running the
Cherokee.
ball. Yeah, in Cherokee. Yeah, earlier in the season. Sorry about that, but their defense has to. They got to kind of get it together.
The problem is scheming. You can scheme to stop the pass. Stopping the run is like you got to be a nasty football team.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And typically, though, teams that run the ball well tend to be better at stopping the run.
Right.
Saying that, Hammy's got to get their hands full this week.
They do.
They get their hands full because Delsey runs it a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And your best defense in a game against Delsey can often be your offense. Can you convert first downs? Can you
keep Delsey off the field?
Now this is what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely right. The best defense is your offense. However, when I'm looking at this game, Delsey kind of struggles with giving up the big plays. Right. When you see them against Winslow, certain teams, that's the area where you can take advantage of Delsey. Are you willing to make it kind of a shootout type of game?
How many? I'm not saying they can't line up 4 wide, but it's not what they want to do. It's not in their DNA. I mean, sure, can they?
I think you'll see wrinkles. I think you'll see some wrinkles from the underdog in this one.
Right.
They've been known to do. They, if you're running what they run, and everybody knows that, there's got to be something
for
in there.
Hammy to win this game, we're going to see the typical Hammy stat line on the pass line: 8 for 10, with 2 touchdowns and 130 yards passing. Right, one of those deals.
It's going to be fun, man, and I've been waiting to see Delsey all season, and Russo and Adair. I mean, I know how good they have been singularly. Russo I saw in the youth ranks. Adair I watched last year was, I thought, their most electric player. See them both in the backfield. I mean, you saw what they did last week.
Yeah.
I mean, look at. Yeah. I'm sorry I don't have it directly in front of me. Here we go. Russo 11 carries 140. Adair 9 carries 137. 5 touchdowns between them. I mean, that's 277 on 20 carries between 2 guys.
Yeah.
So they're well rested too, because they only got 20 carries between them on Saturday, even though it's a short week.
You didn't talk their quarterback. Do you know he can run it if they need to? I mean,
yeah, it's a tough matchup for the Blue Devils coming into this one. Can they pull it out? I think they can.
Oh yeah, it's a winnable game for them.
They have one of the area's best backs. So if you could give him a little help, slow the game down, which we know the clock is going to run fast with the amount of runs that they have. You just have to, pick your spots to kind of take a shot.
Tough to win in Franklinville.
Yes, it is.
We've got the best 11 rankings here. We're going to announce these out. Little bit of movement this week. Unlike last week, there really wasn't much at all. But this week, some slight adjustments, especially because our game of the week with Washington Township beating Winslow. We're going to start number 11. Shawnee was 11 last week. They fall out after losing to Millville. They've lost 4 in a row. So Willingboro, the Chimeras, are in there, beating Pensauken. They've won 4 in a row now. Pensauken, East Side, and they kind of ran right through and demolished Del Rand and St. Joe Hamilton. Their losses this season are to Timber Creek, who's undefeated by 2, and Northern Highlands, a very, very good Group 4 school up north, by 9. They lost that game on the road. Willingboro is in at number 11. At number 10, we have Winslow Township. Winslow, we'll see what happens with them. We know they're a true contender in Group 4. We know when they play at their best, they can probably hang with or beat anybody. But they learned on Friday night, you can't not bring it to play for a couple quarters or one final 2-minute drive. Last week I think will serve as an excellent wake-up call for Winslow.
48 minutes. You got to play for 48 minutes.
They're at number 10. At number 9 is Washington Township, who beat Winslow in the Hail Mary. Willingboro's Group 2 this year, Duran. So at number 9, Washington Township. At number 8, Holy Spirit beat Washington Township in double overtime earlier this season. Number 7, Timber Creek. They remain unbeaten with that good quality win. Another one for them against Hamilton. They are at number 7. They are undefeated. At 6, Camden High. They beat Haddonfield last week by 2 scores, gave up 127 yards, had 7 sacks. Wink James is the star for the Panthers as they move to number 6. Number 5, Delsey. We know Delsey lost earlier in the year to Winslow, but we're talking about right now. Delsey looks to be clicking on all cylinders. And as Kevin Minnick pointed out in the chat here, Wayne Adair didn't play that second half against Winslow, and he's one of their better players. Delsey at number 5. 4, 3, 2, 1. This has been pretty static for a while now, Mac. At number 4, Cherokee, the Chiefs. They rolled Lenape last week. Number 3, St. Augustine. They rolled Williamstown last week. Number 2, Mainland. They rolled somebody else last week. I think it was Absegami. And number 1, Millville, who rolled Shawnee last week. So top 4, didn't break a sweat. They remain at the top all year. I think it's been Mainland I think it's been Millville, Mainland, St. Augustine, Cherokee from the beginning.
Yep, it's been they've been taking care of business, doing what they need to do.
Doing what they need to do. So we've had a fun time here. Most importantly, we're hoping the Phillies can pull out a Game 3 and Game 4 victory, and by the time Friday night rolls around, everybody's in good vibes. So go watch some good football.
Yeah,
watch the Birds go 6-0 on Sunday.
Hopefully
at
getting ready for Arizona.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to give a shout out, Brett, my son. He's officially done, out of the Marines. Officially 5 years.
Congratulations.
He's home. Getting
Thank
in
you, Brett.
Yeah, he's in the private sector. Cyber web stud. So good stuff. Good to have you back, Brett. Congratulations. 5 years.
So anybody going out on Friday night, just as a reminder, do not leave the game if there's 2 minutes left and a team has to go 99 yards. Hang on to that ticket stub. You might see something you haven't seen before.
Right.
Because I know somebody left. It's like the brake lights in Kirk Gibson's home run in Chavez Ravine.
Ooh.
See him in the horizon. The guy listening on the radio realized.
Now you get that text message. Did you see what happened? And you're like, what happened? They won.
I was in Dylan's. It was a local establishment down in D.C. when Kirk Gibson hit the home run. I was a sophomore in college.
And you could see how much pain he was in running those bases. That's probably what I looked like following the Washington Township scrum.
Was it the home run or was the Vin Scully call? I don't believe.
Paired together. I don't believe
believe
what I just saw. And was that the one where he says, and in the season when
yes!
everything that's improbable can happen, the impossible has happened.
Right?
Yeah.
Good stuff. And, that's why we watch. That's why we watch baseball. That's why we watch all the playoffs. That's why we watch high school football. Don't leave early.
Don't leave early. And be back here. I mean, we'll look at the playoff schedule. Hopefully it's Wednesday at 7. And if not, we'll let you all know. Thank you for tuning in on a different night this week. Be sure to share this out to your friends, families, loved ones, relatives, everybody. Let's go watch some football, some baseball, then some football. Thanks for joining us. South Jersey Football Frenzy Show.